One of the defining characteristics of a sandbox RPG is how it handles difficulty. Games who do this well become classics in their respective genres. Fallout New Vegas is one such game, known for giving the world you inhabit incredible freedom but managing to draw you towards the set pieces it wants you to see. The reason behind this incredibly linear adventure in a world where you can technically go anywhere is in its enemy difficulty. Players new to the game quickly learn that going north from Goodsprings where you start the game results in a swift death from enemies much tougher than you. It's the equivalent of walking into a cave in the overworld and seeing a wither. This forces the player to go south to the next town, learning more about the main quest and factions as you follow the roads. Minecraft handles things in much the same way. Each dimension is more difficult than the next, but they can be broken even further down into distinct difficulty stages. The world in which the player spawns teaches them a few things. The surface is relatively peaceful in the day, there being no outright hostile mobs to hinder progress. This gives the player enough time to learn the basic controls, gather some resources, and find shelter. The night is the next big obstacle, as zombies, skeletons, spiders, and creepers test your defenses. Each mob has its own unique skill. The zombies have come in numbers, skeletons can shoot projectiles, spiders can climb walls, and creepers... We don't talk about creepers. However, a very sneaky thing happens after the night is over. The spiders and creepers don't burn in the daylight, so your second day of scrounging ups the ante, making you avoid spiders and being paranoid of creepers. They literally don't make a sound and have a 1.5 second detonation timer. The caves are the logical next step. At this point, you've collected some wood, maybe mined some stone, and are ready to brave the deep dark. The caves are unpredictable. You might find yourself a diamond gold mine, or you might horrifically die in a pit of lava, your flesh and bones melting into the molten rock. There are some ruins to find in the caves, being mine shafts, ravines, and dungeons, but they're protected by challenges, which usually just means more than the usual number of zombies. After a few in-game days of mining, you will inevitably find yourself diamonds and build a nether portal, venturing into the next difficulty stage of the game. The Nether builds upon a bunch of the earlier things I mentioned. Now, there are no easy methods to get good food for healing. Lava pools on every surface, and even traversing the landscape becomes a tricky endeavor, as giant lava lakes cover large parts of the world and prevent you from crossing. The mobs in the Nether also comment on this change in environment. Piglins are the most plentiful. They come in 3 forms. The zombified piglin doesn't do much, shambling around barely noticing the world around it. The regular piglin acts like an overworld villager, albeit with a bigger nose, and the piglin brute attacks you on sight and is basically a better zombie. Skeletons show up again too, with their taller counterparts, the wither skeleton. These lanky lads run at you with a stone sword and apply the wither effect. This takes your health down bit by bit, ignoring armor. Watch out for them, they're kinda tough if they catch you in a pinch. The new flavor of the month is the Blaze. These hovering entities spawn in and near fortresses, and are one of the only mobs to get a world-generated spawner. They shoot fire at you, which deals damage and covers half your screen. There are also magma cubes and gas, but they are generally quite rare and don't affect the difficulty of each world very much. So, using items you can get in the overworld, you craft bows and armor, cook enough food to brave the journey, and come back from the Nether victorious. Or blow yourself up with a bed. Beds are weird. From a purely gameplay perspective, they skip one of the most challenging and fruitful events a player can experience from the game, the night. They were probably put in for people sick of the nighttime, or creatives who wanted to build more memes in their realms. However, one neat mechanic of the bed is that when you try to use one in the Nether or the End, it causes one of the most devastating explosions possible in the game. This tells the player that this world isn't like the comfy overworld. There isn't a get-out-of-jail-free card to escape the nightmares that haunt you everywhere you go in the Nether. It also rewards skilled players, as they can use this mechanic to literally 5-shot the Ender Dragon. After getting enough blaze rods to make blaze powder, the next stop on your adventure would be to trade with the aforementioned piglins and get Eyes of Ender. Then, speedrunners and high-skill players will attempt to jump straight to the end to fight the Ender Dragon and beat the game. Now, this fight is tough. It's one of the only 2 boss fights in the entire game, and the second toughest mob in Minecraft. It flies around high up in the air and shoots fireballs, strikes you with its wings, and spits this weird purple goo stuff that I like to think is oozy goo. It uses all of the things you've learned, like sword and bow combat, and pushes you to the absolute limit. You need to destroy crystals on top of these towers, which explode when broken, which means you have to time the blast or erect a barricade for yourself so you don't fall off. It takes quite a bit of prowess to beat the Ender Dragon, and you're rewarded with a boatload of EXP for your trouble. At this point, you'll feel free to explore the end, get elytras, and do whatever else you wanted to. From start to finish, the game slowly builds up the difficulty, occasionally throwing a harder mob into the mix. You go from attacking basic walking corpses to fighting lava demons to a dragon. It's a hero's journey, with all of the creativity needed for each person to tackle the problem their own way. The credits even tell you to take the final step, the highest difficulty, to go outside.